We're going to welcome Q from Q&AI to the podcast. He is our, Nick, he's our AI specialist. I know you guys have had a lot of conversations with him.
Yeah.
All right, good talk.
Well, I don't know if I was talking or Q was talking. Yeah, Q and I have been able to connect a couple times. He has a product that he was interested in building, trying to get agents in front of it and kind of looking for some feedback on it. I have looked at a lot of AI software, a lot of AI prompts and GPTs, as they're called. This one is pretty special, and so I was excited when we were able to get him to join us this morning on the podcast. I know him and Claudia Ewan, our director of coaching, are going to connect and go through this and see what they can do to help our agents get really into AI more than we've seen in the last year or so.
All right, Q, well, welcome to the big show. So what do you do?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me. And basically, I help real estate agents adopt AI reliably into their day-to-day, without the headache. So let's get into it. So the reality of AI, it's the new thing, in 2026, everyone's touched ChatGPT at least once, and it's something that sounds powerful, but using it can sometimes feel annoying. Sometimes it's not consistent, you're not getting, the same outputs, and I've found that a lot of agents kind of just stop using it, after a week or two.
And why is that? Because for me, say it. I'll go back if you can. Say it feels annoying. I think for a lot of agents, including myself, it took me a long time to even start using ChatGPT because you mentioned the word. It's powerful. For me, it's especially at my age, it's just overwhelming for me. And then I get started into it, and I learn something new. And like you have on here, I stop after week one because it's just very, very overwhelming. Why are you finding agents stopping after week one of because we go to all these classes, we go to this AI class, and they teach us how to do it. And then I go back and I sit down on my computer and I'm like, what's my login?
Yeah, so I think a big reason for that is, you can take all these classes on how to use it. You can have a whole notebook full of just, notes and bullet points, but the agent still has to think how to use it. And kind of wanted to get into that too, is you have to know what to ask every time. And another thing, too, is, when you're using just regular free ChatGPT, the answers can change daily. And kind of with that, the fact checking, the compliance, if you use it specifically for real estate, checking for fair housing and, all of these other guardrails, that's on you. And I think that can sometimes be kind of overwhelming because AI is something that should be clearing your desk, not adding more to it. If that makes sense.
I think we can talk about this slide for a while. Yeah. I mean, just really quickly. So you have to know what to ask. You also have to know how to ask it. And I think Todd has gotten really good at
That's good marital advice.
For sure. The tone also
I know what to ask. I just don't know how to.
I mean, I've gotten frustrated with mine because we've been working together, my AI and I, for a long time. When it gives me a bad answer, I'll get mad. And it says, you have a right to be frustrated. Yeah. But I didn't understand when you asked the question. I'm like, don't you take that tone. So how you ask it is important. And then Q touched on it. I mean, if you're using the free version of ChatGPT, and I get that, the goal isn't to get another thing that you need to pay for. But again, on this podcast, we talk about things that we think are valuable. Paying for the premium version of ChatGPT, I think, is something that
smartest thing ever.
Yeah, it gives you more consistency. Your answers aren't changing based on whatever Reddit forum it read that day. It's a better use, a better tool when you do invest in it.
And I know you're going to get into some of your assistants or your ChatGPTs in this, but this. I think that first point is when you don't have something loaded in. And you don't have it set up right, when you just start with a literally just a blank screen, whether it's I need to now create this marketing email, or I need to do this and I need to do that, and I know you have a great AI assistant when it comes down to writing MLS descriptions and things like that. It's just it's just you're always starting over. It's just always like
Feels
that.
like
It's
it.
just a blank
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, no, and kind of to the point where you were saying, Todd, you know how to write good, prompts, good inputs, but the reality is not everybody does. And, kind of what I wanted to get into is like, the real problem agents are having is, AI, it's not something that's hard, but it's, that clear thinking every single time, having to make that decision every single time of, okay, how do I word it? I have to give context to AI every single time. Like, I'm a real estate agent. I do this, right? So what I wanted to get into is I'm calling them AI assistants, something that eliminates, these decision makings, these having to give context every time. So yeah.
All right, let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Yeah. So the fix here is these pre-trained AI assistants. They're not prompts, but instead are AI. You can think assistant, you can think intern, you can think partner, something that just, like I said, helps you clear your desk. It's something that's already role trained specific, and they already know the real estate context, what to say, what not to say. That's a big one. And how to sound like a professional. And
So what you're saying is, so if I have something like this, I don't always have to start. Because I always have to start. I'm a licensed real estate agent in Arizona, focusing on this, focusing on that. Here's my content. Now rewrite it with your AI assistance. It already knows that for me.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's going to know the difference between what it needs because it's an expert potentially maybe in as a personal shopper or as a real estate lead generator or something like that. But it also you have to add in beforehand, like tell it who you are, tell it certain things, and if you do, even your threads stay so that when you ask a new chat, it can tie into previously asked questions, and it just saves you a ton of time having to redo everything.
Yeah, exactly. And to reiterate, that's, with the assistant, not with just the regular generic. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So what you've created here is an ability for an agent to go in and say, here's who I am, here's who I'm focusing on, here's what my business looks like. And so you do that once, and you're not having to set that context because, as your point a couple slides ago, you start with a blank screen. You're starting with a blank AI. Even the chats that you do, and I've found this in the paid version of ChatGPT, the chats don't always cross over. And so I'm having to pull context from one chat and add it to another. I don't have to do this. Now, this GPT that you've created, this assistant, it already bakes that in, and everything that we start talking with starts with a foundation.
Yeah, exactly. And, the way it should be for, the real estate agent who's, already really busy as is, has to do 100 emails, they shouldn't have to decide what to say. They should just open it up, input X, and they're going to get Y out of it.
Yeah, because I think that's the problem that I'm having is I'm always starting over with every email that I have that I send out or every text that I send out. I'm always starting with the prompts instead of having the prompts already baked in there for me. And that would just save me a crap ton of time.
I know agents have Word documents. They're just copying and pasting so that they don't have to type it out every single time. This removes every aspect of that. And for your TCs, your marketing coordinators, those that you're working with outside that you're not doing this directly, you're now able to have this baked in already.
Yeah, it can also be brand consistency or the way you talk consistency that it learns over time.
Yeah. So I guess kind of building off of that, here's, I guess, a few practical use cases of what this agent assistant can do for you. The first one is it can generate listing descriptions, MLS safe, because it is trained on the market. It's trained on these, I guess, industry points or, lack of a better term, points.
Guardrails. Sure.
Guardrails, yeah. It's already trained by default, so, you don't have to go in there and say, it has to be under X amount of characters, can't use this word. It already knows that. Another one it can do is it can help you write client emails and follow-ups. I think we've all been there. We get a nasty email from somebody, and then the
Never.
natural,
Not me.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you laughing. So the natural response, right, is I need to stand my ground, right? But now with AI, something that's trained on industry safe emails, you can check it and not send something you regret. Another thing, another good use case for the agent assistant, it's trained on dozens and dozens of just buyer and seller FAQs. If you need it in, let's say, a client facing version of that, you can just get it instantly, right? You don't have to type the same question and answers over and over again.
Well, what I love about the FAQs is I think the FAQs are, if you're looking for social media content, the FAQs are a great starting point, because FAQs stand for frequently asked questions. And instead of, sometimes we're like, okay, what am I going to post on Facebook, or what kind of series am I going to do on social media? And I'm trying to just ask ChatGPT, come up with some ideas. Well, I want ideas based on questions and things that consumers are asking.
Yep.
Yeah. And then just, I guess the last thing is, because it is trained on like real estate stuff, it can just ingest a lot of information, whether it's just, listings, or like actually uploading emails you've received, or I don't know, even just industry articles, right? It's truly a real estate agent assistant. And, with that, it's always consistent and never guesses.
So again, a lot of stuff on this. Listing descriptions, the one thing that I would also recommend that most agents aren't doing that they should be, they're going to hire a listing marketing company to do photos and most likely write the descriptions for their listing. It is still the agent's responsibility to vet, review, and approve that description. If you're not copying and pasting that description and dropping it in here, you're getting yourself in potential issue, but you're also now double checking to make sure that the other entity is doing a good job. And now you have a backup of what's happening there. The client emails and follow-ups. I mean, we get into this all the time. A quick story. We've had a couple of reviews on our Google pages for West USA that were a little frustrating, and I just didn't have a good way of writing the response back. I dropped it into our AI system, and it was able to give me a really good response. I never would have come up with that. It has more time than we do. It has more brain capacity than we have. It lets us stop worrying about and thinking about all of these things, and it takes the second guessing out of it, so you can kind of brain dump all that stuff. The buyer and seller FAQs is pretty self-explanatory. I know I'm kind of bouncing through these bullet points, but it's a lot of good stuff. And then the ingesting information, guys. It's as a research assistant that you dump documents and emails and articles and all kinds of stuff into, and now that it knows who you are, it will customize the summation to what it thinks is important to you, and it knows what's important to you because you've told it already one time. You're not having to continue to give it more context, so that when you drop an article in, when you're asking it for information on the marketplace, when you're looking for new resources, when you're having a problem with X and you're looking for a solution for Y, it's going to give you a better output when you start from this level than you're just starting from scratch.
Think about journaling too. When you're asking it questions, or it's automating and replying back to you articles that just popped up in a particular genre that you've asked it to inform you on. But ask it to chronologically put the date in there, date and time, and that changes a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, now that we kind of just went over what the agent assistant does, let's talk about what it looks like for you. The busy real estate agent. First, and I'd say one of the most important things, it replaces just staring at the blank screen, right? You can already save, minutes that add up, right? By just kind of just getting in there instead of thinking, you're just doing, really. It replaces manually rewriting emails.
I can't wait for this. I can't wait to really hammer that in.
Yeah. Again, it replaces second guessing your tone, wondering if you've crossed the line, back to the whole nasty email example, and it just removes that whole decision fatigue.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into the next one. This is one of my favorites. I have been playing with this for months now. I actually have had my team playing with this for months now. And we were talking about earlier about scripts, and we were talking about role playing. And this role playing assistant thing is, I think, one of the coolest things that I've seen, because we all know that you can role play with ChatGPT, but again, it's adding so many prompts Q, you have developed a role playing assistant where all the prompts are already preloaded, all the scenarios are already preloaded. And when before I started using your tool, we would do role playing, and all I would do, I would just be sitting there. I'd have to type, and then say start role play, and then it would type back to me, and I'd have to type back. Role playing via the keyboard is, and then with your tool, I'm just able to. I can speak into my microphone, and it speaks back to me, and I think. And I've been playing around with it all weekend, and I'm telling you, Todd, I opened up some of these scenarios, and 23 years I think I've been in this business, and some of these scenarios and the things that it said to me trip me up, but it wasn't something that was just out of the blue, something that would be a legitimate response or a question from a buyer or a seller. So let's jump into it.
Yeah. So, for me, kind of just talking to different agents and, team leaders, it was like, what if there was a way you could role play without bugging somebody else, on weekends, or bugging the team leader, right, when they have their plate full. So we figured out a way to utilize AI that's, safe practice reps with zero risk of messing up. Because if you say the wrong thing, okay, great. Reload the chat, right? It's... So here's kind of, I guess, building off of that, you can practice the following with some of these assistants that I've built for role playing, right? Price objections, that's a big one. Commission pushback, I do know that's another common one.
Nobody cares about that.
Yeah. Nervous buyers, specifically like, first time home buyers too. Difficult sellers, and even just, open houses too. I know that that's a big one that a lot of agents, could use practice, I guess, off-site with, using AI. And it's, this confidence comes from the reps, not the theory of what you should say. Because, again, the whole thing about AI, if there was one takeaway, it's you can just do before you think. Just get into it.
I was playing around with it last night, Cod. It was funny. The first scenario it threw at me last night when I was just toying around with this in prep for today was right away it said, well, I have a friend that has a real estate license that I'm loyal to, and because my friends have used, and I'm like, and then I just started digging in, and it was a real life situation with something that is more intelligent than anyone else I'm going to role play with.
Yeah. No, those are, you know what? Just here's my answer for this today to everybody that's out there. Do this. Seriously, even if you have never thought about it, you think it's not right, whatever you might be thinking about AI or anything, right now you have an opportunity to use this to improve your business. And yes, I understood that when I started with it. But what really has overcome me is all of the different facets of your business this can assist you with. You just have to be able to go in there and set it up to do that. So Q, I think this is fantastic information. Keep going, man.
Yeah, and I do want to preface one point. I will be the first to tell you that practicing with an AI or a computer, it's never going to truly replace that human to human, face to face like interaction. But you can do one interaction with, let's say, a partner. They give you some feedback. Well, now you can go hammer out reps, and by the next time you go into the face to face, you already have these 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours practice reps already. So the line of improvement is much higher.
So I just want to clarify. So on just the role play assistance, we have buyers, sellers, and open houses. So with this package, you're actually getting 3 different products, one working with buyers, one working with sellers, and I requested one for open houses. But I don't know, Nick, if you had something to add to that.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what we do in our business, we have to communicate with those that we're trying to get to buy and sell with us. If we don't have the ability to do that correctly, efficiently, and in a way that they're going to want to reciprocate back, we're wasting our time. before, when I would have a role play session with an agent, to Q's point, we would have a human being conversation. I had no way to then practice before I got back to that human being conversation. Now,
Yeah.
and especially in our world today where picking up the phone is a debilitating task for a lot of people, this allows for that confidence to come with reps, to your point. It's a fantastic way to, in our homes, with the lights off behind a computer screen, we can work on this to get that confidence up so that it's not scary to call and order a pizza on the phone. You can have conversations with pizza, and I think it's a really cool thing. Again, I haven't seen features like this out there before.
And it's funny because also when I was playing around with it, I decided to test it. So I mean, if this was recorded, I might be losing my license, but I wanted to see what would happen if I started asking questions that violated fair housing
So smart.
rules and so forth. So again, if that was recorded, because it wasn't a real life conversation with a person, but I was pushing it and it finally stopped me and said, "Hey, no go."
Yeah, and that just goes back to the whole, benefit of these pre-trained assistants. It's already, fair housing and these other guardrails, it's no longer on you, the agent, right? But yeah, Mike, you were right. There's 3 different versions of this kind of all in one package. There's the buyer, there's the seller, and then there's the open house practice, right? You can truly dive into each one. And I guess I just wanted to go over a couple features of, like what can you really do with this role play assistant? The big one is each one is trained or preloaded with just 10 different scenarios. So that's 30 total, and you can pick through them or you can just randomly do it, right? Without knowing what you're going to get, but you have the option for both, which I think is good. There's also a timeout function. You can just verbally say, timeout, I need a coaching, and the AI can tell you what you're doing good. It can tell you, where you're kind of going off the rails a little bit, and just give you feedback for improvement. And I guess the last point, speaking of feedback, I baked in a scoring function at the end of it. It'll tell you what you did good, tell you what you can improve on, because the AI has, invisible boxes that the agent needs to hit. But again, these boxes are trained based on talking to real agents, real teams, real leaders, right? So it's just, again, it's truly a way where they can safely practice and just hammer out reps.
Once again, I mean, I've said this a few times, but getting an ability to practice role play, scripting, object handling is one thing. Having a real-time feedback in how you are doing is, it doesn't exist. I mean, I don't, unless you have a person sitting in front of you who's better at it than you are, and it's not just another person, because agent-to-agent role play is one thing, but agent-to-agent feedback, are you going to listen to the person that you're sitting across from? Do you want your coach there, your team leader? This is an entity that is unbiased, that is simply telling you how it thinks you're doing based on all these metrics that have already been put into it. So it's consistent feedback that you're getting based on what you're putting in. It's just really cool.
It eliminates every single objection an agent should have for engaging in role play, because there's this machine is going to report back to you. There's no other person involved. There's nobody hearing it. It's private. It's confidential, and it doesn't go to your broker.
Yeah.
I live to fight another day.
But Mike, I want to get Q back on his show, but here's the thing, is that you brought something up. You said, I went off the rail. Now, that's kind of terminology with ChatGPT is staying within the rails or going outside the rails. But functionally, by asking it a fair housing violation question, it's brilliant. It's going to reply. Listen to how it replied to you, and that can help you get back as well. That was awesome, Mike. Good job on that one.
Yeah. No, and I guess just to kind of, summarize, the benefit of having these assistants, it's the same rules, it's the same tone, same boundaries every single time, right? Again, it's just, we've taken real life examples, real life objections, real life tasks that agents are doing, and we're just, locking it into these AI assistants. And I guess with that, if this is something that you think will help clear your desk and, help you just get ahead of, this AI curve, right? What you need first is,
ChatGPT.
You need ChatGPT, and, in 2026, right, the difference between the paid ChatGPT account and just the free, it's night and day, right? And to truly use these assistants, because it's utilizing faster responses, access to, again, the custom assistants, consistent performance, right? And that, voice mode that we're using for the role play assistants, right? It's something that you got to have it because, we all have access to the engine, that's ChatGPT, but the assistants, they're the upgrades or the gas, if you will, right?
And
It's that extra layer on top.
And it's so inexpensive, the first level plus.
Yeah.
Like $30.
Not even.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
20,
it's like
yeah.
20, yeah.
Yeah.
Because even outside of real estate, it's just something that, you could use it every aspect of your life. So that all sounds good. And, this is for you, if you're the solo busy agent or if you're the agent who doesn't want to have to learn AI, something that can just get going right away.
And this is a great starting point for agents who just haven't figured out how to leverage AI. I've gone to AI classes, and I walk away going, okay, I'm not going to be able to replicate that. I know it looked really cool on the screen, and I don't really know where to begin. And this is so simple that it's just, down the road, my ChatGPT skills will probably grow. But now it's got me used to using it because you have to use it because this is whether you like it or not, whether you like change or not, it's our reality.
Embrace it.
Yeah. And I guess the last point on here is like, if you just want the results without tinkering, without having to learn something new, I truly believe this is something for you.
So for a real quick second, because I know it's not here on the slide, but you've built some of these assistants for our team, and every once in a while we'll throw it up on the screen, make the agents come up front and do the actual role playing and so forth. But you do work with other teams that need bigger and larger, workflows or assistants and so forth. Speak to that.
Yeah. So the teams, there's some similarities, but now it looks a little different because now you have a whole group of people who not only need the same tools, but there needs to be some just level of consistency, right, across the whole team. You don't want to have 5 really good agents who are good at prompting, who know ChatGPT, and then you have 3 that have never touched it, right? So now there's the element of not only the assistants and the tools, but the people. So, when we work with teams, we also do AI workshops too, just helping everyone truly get to the same starting place, right? So now, there's consistency across the board, right? Now, the 3 people who don't know AI don't have to bug the 5 who do, right? Because
Nick, I may not bug you anymore, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you saying is that each time you meet with a new team or a new business, you're helping them identify what their KPIs are, what they're trying to accomplish. And then you're building that potentially. I'm not saying this one that you've already done is cut and paste. It's play.
Yeah, more for the solo agents.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. But these other ones, it's personal for that team. That team's going to get personal. It's not just a prompt. They're going to get personal assistance, and you're going to help navigate that process.
Yeah, exactly right. And, something for Mike's team too, the 401k group, they specialize more in, the investment side, and, they now have this AI infrastructure layer, if you will, right? Everyone's trained across the board, and this AI knows that that's the focus of the 401k group, right? Yeah. And, with them and, what we do for other teams, other companies too, is, not only the training and the assistance, but also just the consultation, identifying where the work can be easier with AI, right? Just identifying that. And I guess to kind of build off of that, just the final thoughts with just all of this is AI, it shouldn't feel like another job. It shouldn't feel like a process, a project, a giant learning curve. It should clear your desk and quietly handle the parts of the job that you don't enjoy doing, because let's face it, I think we all have that.
Mike, imagine asking ChatGPT through one of Q's predetermined assistants that an agent could ask, here's me, this is me. Where do I go and how do I engage with people to find out more if they might be interested in real estate, and then let it go.
Yeah.
So people that can't figure out where the next deal comes from.
Yeah.
and you can help them do that.
Yep. No, exactly right. And, if that all sounds like something you want to integrate, into the day-to-day work life, the email is up there, q@qandai.tech, or you can just text me at 602-513-9923 for any questions too, or if you just want to move forward with integrating AI. And then we do have a QR code up there too that takes you to book a 15-minute free just chat. If you want to talk about this farther, more in-depth questions, book a meeting too. But yeah, feel free to text, email, and let's embrace this.
And I would say if you want to learn more about pricing and it's very, very reasonable and just really kind of how other people have been using it to succeed, definitely want to reach out to Q. Again, his information's up there. But really, at the end of the day, you have the opportunity to pick up the AI, what would you call it, like an office assistant?
Assistant, yeah.
Yeah, assistant that helps with all the emails and the MLS, descriptions and things like that. Then plus the other 3 role-playing platforms focusing on buyers, sellers, and open houses.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you mentioned it. You said the word once through this whole thing, and I think that's the term that we should be focusing more on. This is an infrastructure that you've created around people's businesses, and I think that's a very valuable thing that most people don't see yet.
Yeah.
I appreciate you not calling yourself a guru. There are a tremendous amount of AI gurus running around out in the world. And to Mike's point, there's a lot of classes being taught, and most of the feedback that I get after an agent goes through one of these gurus' classes is they're more lost and confused and frustrated than they were before.
Yeah.
So breaking this down at a much more 101 bite by bite scenario, I think is phenomenal. But yeah, if you guys have questions on where you can take your real estate business utilizing AI's infrastructures, I would highly recommend you reach out to Q.
All right, Q.
Oh my gosh, this was such a good.
Great job.
Yeah, no,
good stuff.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, with that being said and done, I'll leave you with the quote of the day created by AI. No,
I did not make that, by the way.
No, I have no idea. I don't know where Haley gets these, but we all get the exact same 365 days. The only difference is, appreciate everybody joining us today. Go out and sell a home.